Yo, 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 what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a DFS strategy video for the 2025 Texas Children's Houston Open. Kind of a little tongue twister, but it is the Houston Open, just like the Shell Houston Open in the past. Everything to do with the Houston Open. Sorry, I'm a little late. I accidentally zoomed in on my chat and could not zoom out of it. So I had to figure out how to do that, plus posted it to Twitter. But that reminds me, this is a live video, so I will be interacting with chat as I go through this. So if you're watching this on replay, just know it is a live video. And after every segment, I will ask the chat or look at the chat to see who has commented, who has not. Just a little friendly reminder. I'm sure most of you guys have already figured it out, but for whatever reason, I get complaints every once in a while. It'll be like, gosh, will you just stop talking and just get to the information? Well, it's a live video. I like to chat with the people here in the chat. Okay. So what will I be covering in this video? I always go over course and tournament information. I go over past optimal and GPP winning lineups. I'll show you what that looks like on my website, SweetSpotDFS.com. I encourage you guys to go sign up because there is a giveaway that's involved with that, but just because they're great tools, and I'll showcase them here shortly. I will also be going over a review of the Valspar Championship because yours truly did pretty well at the Valspar. Had a chance to do much better had Justin Thomas won. Justin Thomas was my guy last week. I just kept hearing the weather wave advantage, all of that game theory, and just trying to figure it out. And it's like, it's weather. How are you going to predict the weather? Plus, even if there is a quote unquote wave advantage, there tends to be two people that hit the optimal lineup from the opposite wave no matter what. And if you want to double check, guess what? Go to SweetSpotDFS.com. I'll actually show you. You can go to the past optimal and GPP winning lineup tool that I have, and you can look at whatever contest you want. Go check out the golfers. I don't have the wave that they're in, but you can obviously go to PGA go look to see what their Thursday, Friday tee times were, and I guarantee you'll see them there. If not, reach out to me. I will be more than pleased to show you that optimal lineups for those other for those tournaments that were weather wave heavy or whatever you want to call it. They had two people from the opposite weather, the opposite wave. It's enough of that, but I basically ignored that. I just played it like a normal week. And the lineups that did well for me had a mix of both AM and PM golfers, like they typically do. So anyways, go to SweetSpotDFS.com, check that out there. And you can always email me. I'm like I said, I will provide the information for you if you so want me to. So I'll go over a review of the Valspar. Let you all know what the optimal lineup was there, the SweetSpot optimal and the GPP winning lineup, just to compare all of them together and see which ones, which ones got closer between the SweetSpot optimal and the GPP to the optimal. And then we're going to dive into the SweetSpot specific stuff like the bucket system as well as the Marquee Tee Times, because those hit once again. All right, before we get into this video, I want to be as quick as possible with a lot of this stuff. So one, like I said, go sign up on SweetSpotDFS.com because I have a $1,000 giveaway once we reach 1,000 subscribers on this channel. So we're at 806, I believe. I forgot to update the goal, but you can see the goal all the way over there to the left. If we reach 850 subscribers by the end of the month, by the way, I'll give out a free membership on SweetSpotDFS.com. A free membership on SweetSpotDFS.com. If we don't reach that giveaway, I'll give out a week of access to SweetSpotDFS.com. I don't know why I couldn't think of the words, but yes, I'll give you a week of access to SweetSpotDFS.com. And you can use all of the tools there. But the only way to enter this giveaway is to have an account at SweetSpotDFS.com, and you can sign up for free. You do not have to pay a dime. Now, there are tools on there that are only for people behind the paywall. Like, I mean, I should say there are tools behind paywalls, but then there are free tools. And let me just display some of those things. Let me get this off the screen. The cheat sheet is available to you. You have two selections for the time being. You have this cheat sheet, which is kind of boring, I get it. Or we have this cheat sheet down here. If you go ahead and click on the little button that said click here, you're going to come to a spreadsheet. And this is the spreadsheet I work off throughout these videos. So I will be showing you everything through this, well, a similar worksheet. I've got my own copy of it, but you guys can follow along with me by going to the cheat sheet and just taking a look at all the information that's here. So this is available to you. That you do not need to have a paid account in order to access the cheat sheet. Also, you can request the optimizer that I will be using. This also doesn't require you to have a paid account at SweetSpotDFS.com. The optimizer looks like this. And this is what I'll be building lineups here at the end of this video. So if you want access to this, just, again, go to SweetSpotDFS.com, click under Fantasy Tools, and go to Optimizer. Just drill down on that, and you'll come to a page like this, and then a pop-up will show up on your screen asking you to put in your email address. Let's see if it'll do this for me right now. Yeah, there you go. Put your email right there, and I will send you the optimizer. It has everything specific to the SweetSpot process. It includes the bucket system conditionals. It has my own model already integrated into the optimizer. So when you go and hit run optimizer, it should just select the most optimal lineup. And I do have a video on this. You can find it in the description on how to use the optimizer. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. And if you have any issues, let me know. I'm more than willing to work with you on how to make it work for you. You do have to have the full suite. Or I shouldn't even say the full suite. You got to have the full version of Microsoft Excel. And it's okay if you have it on a Mac. It's okay if you have it on Windows. Mac is a little bit different. So there are different hurdles that we have to do for Mac just because of how it's integrated, how Excel is integrated into Apple computers. So again, a lot of this I know how to figure out. And if you have any issues, let me know, because I'm providing the optimizer to make building lineups easier for you. I use the optimizer exclusively to build lineups for myself. This year it's been a little bit low, but I've been very aggressive with my lineup building until the last couple of weeks where I've been the most successful. So I'm probably going to continue that, which leads me to one other thing. I go live Wednesday night for YouTube members only. So you might actually see some of the videos or a video that'll pop up saying I'm about to go live, and then it just gets removed from your access. That's usually when I switch it to members only. And when those videos, what I do, I basically go over my lineup strategies for the week. So we get into some very interesting pieces of information. The last couple of weeks, we went over 7K combo buckets, which you might not even understand what those are, but they help us narrow in and target 7K golfers that have stat profiles that match a lot of golfers that finish inside the top 10 for an event. Whatever event we're looking at. Obviously, this week we're looking at the Houston Open. So that's probably what we'll be getting into in the YouTube members only video. Now that's $4.99 and above. It's the white tier. Another thing to add with that is I will give away 5 YouTube memberships if this video can get to 25 likes. So it doesn't matter if it's here during the live version. If it is during this live video, we get to 25 likes, I will then gift out those 5 memberships. If you don't believe me, check out the Players Championship video. I gave out 15 because not only did we get to 25, but then we got to 30 and then we got to 40, which I appreciate big time. And that's why I gave out 15 free memberships. So a like doesn't take you really much effort at all. Doesn't cost any money. Of course, if you don't like the video, you don't have to like it. And I obviously see some of your thumb downs. So I know there are some people out there that either don't like my content or they're just salty individuals, which is fine. It's fine. if you do not like, that actually brings me up to another thing. If you don't like my content, why don't you just leave an email? Let me know how I can improve, or leave a comment. It's all about helping as much as I can. So anyways, YouTube members only video Wednesday night. We'll go over some very interesting information there. I will be building lineups for myself. Anyone here that has a little badge next to their name, they all have access. Well, unless you're a red tier. I guess if you have a red tier badge, then you don't. But anybody else that comes in, you all see I'm very transparent with my whole process. I follow it 100%. And the lineups that I build during that stream, I just put into DraftKings. So I don't tell you where I put them, because that would be breaking TOS, but I show you the lineups that I do build. Anyways, so, and at the end of this video, we're going to be building lineups. So that's kind of my whole pitch. Again, just to throw this back up on the screen, I'm giving away $1,000 once we reach 1,000 subscribers. And if you want access to the giveaway, be subscribed and actually create an account on SweetSpotDFS.com. I'm going to throw this up on the screen. I haven't updated it yet. I'm not giving away $100 anymore monthly, but we always do a weekly $5 giveaway for those that participate in the chat, like a lot of the people are right now. I do ask for roll calls, and all a roll call is I'll just say, hey, type this into the chat. It could be anything. It's usually pretty simple, like maybe even type 1 in the chat. And that's how you get access to the giveaway. So why don't we just go ahead and give away $5 right now? I'm going to take this down and put this back, or put this up. So the winner of the $5 giveaway is Lombardi Elite. Congrats, man. I had 23 total entries. He did 3. And the entry he won was from the YouTube comment he left. So if you want an additional entry into the giveaway, even if you're here during the live version, go back to the replay, leave a comment. You don't even have to watch the video. Just go there, leave a comment, and that'll get you an additional entry. I had 5 people that went over and left a comment. I might have missed out, but there is a little nugget in the description of the video that will give you an additional entry. Even if you, even by leaving a comment, if you say something certain in the comments, you'll get an additional entry. And for those that are here, I may have missed that. So I will definitely look into it, and I'll give you an additional entry for next week if I did miss it. This week, though, Lombardi Lee, you won. And just to show you how this is randomized, it just brings up different names every single time I hit yes or no. So it is completely random. All right. Congrats, man. That's the laundry list of items. 20 minutes. Yeah, we could probably shorten that up. We'll do that sometime in the future. So we're going to get into the video before I get it, or we're going to get into the strategy portion of it. Before I do, let me just check with chat. What's going on, Dave? Nice to see Dave Dean in the chat. AJ Love, he ended up losing $8 of what he played last week, playing 6 lineups this week. Hey, you emailed me early on Thursday before the PM wave even finished. You told me your AM lineup was doing better than your PM lineup. What ended up happening at the end of it, AJ? Did your PM lineup do better than your AM lineup, or was it pretty darn close to each other? Wheels Up, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. Cheers to you as well. And Lombardi's in the Josh Allen. How you doing, man? I think you were messaging me through comments during the YouTube members video. I think I figured out what could have been the issue. I did put a lot of the tools behind the paywall. So if you were trying to access it and weren't able to, it's because some of those tools are behind a paywall. So I appreciate. I'm sorry if you were anticipating seeing some of those tools. I don't even know if you're paying or not. I'm just mentioning that. I have no idea if you pay on the website or not, but just throwing that out there. All right, so that's all I have for comments. Let's go ahead and begin the video with the course and tournament information. I told you guys I was going to have a tool for this. Lots of things happen in life, and sometimes you just don't have time, or in my case, it's a little bit of time, and it's also a little bit of trying to figure out how to make it look, or how to create the reports and the tools for you guys to see. So I'm a little stuck right now, just throwing that out there. So we're going to use the tournament fact sheets. You can find those on SweetSpotDFS.com. You can see it's highlighted right here, tournament fact sheets. I like to go here to get all the tournament details. So obviously you'll go to this page right here, drill down on the Texas Children's Houston Open. And here you have a bunch of stats that you can use for your research. Obviously, you have the tournament name, the golf course that it's played at, Memorial Park. I think we've been here for 4 years now, at least 3, maybe 4. I can double check here shortly. We are at a par 70, that's 7,400 yards. It's kind of long when it kind of compares to a lot of the other golf courses per par, so yardage per par. It's going to be more of a bomber's track this week. By the way, yours truly did not watch any content this week. I think I was in Wiley and Keith Stewart's chat briefly. I think I watched one video of Mayo, but I did not watch anything else. I love Byron to death. I just didn't have time after work today to watch Byron go live. So I'll end up watching Byron's podcast. But after last week, I mentioned this on Twitter, on X. It's like, thank you for everybody who talked 30 plus minutes on weather last week. I know I did, but it was to dispel the reason to not look, or it was to dispel the reason to look at weather. I told you guys, I mean, Justin Thomas was in the bad weather wave. I still played Justin Thomas. I played him quite a bit. And JT was in the optimal lineup. He was in your GPP winning lineup. He was in the SweetSpot optimal lineup, and he was in all the lineups that made me money. It's like, I just had a good feeling, and going forward, I think JT is a wonderful pick, even at the Masters. I think he's getting hot, despite what some other people are talking about, saying that this was just a fluke. He never has positive putting. I think he's turning it around. I think he's getting, he's heating up. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, moving on. I don't want to get too distracted. Turf grass, we have the same setup we did last week. We've got POA overseed on the greens. We have ryegrass overseed with a little POA mixed in everywhere else. So basically you have a base layer of Bermuda. That Bermuda, it's not hot enough. The growing conditions are not optimal in order for that grass to thrive. So even if there's a little bit of Bermuda out there on the golf course, it's too brittle, it's too thin to actually act a lot like Bermuda. So play the overseed stats. And in fact, if you go to the cheat sheet, which I mentioned earlier on in the video, I have the same, I don't know why that says bent. I should say Bermuda. I have the same stats that we had last week. Not for the, for the same golfers. I've updated the stats, but I have Bermuda as the first stat to look at, POA as the second stat. And as I explained why I use Bermuda for my model, it's because this is more region specific. Bermuda really only grows in the southern states, or the southern part of the United States. And that's more region specific. Now, obviously, we could all make the arguments that different architects bring in different course layouts and have different types of greens, different types of fairways, all that kind of stuff. I agree. But there's also a thing that goes along with being at a specific region of the country. Like, we're in Texas this week, or the PGA Tour's in Texas this week. A lot of your Texas golfers should get a little bit of a bump in your models. Just because it's close to home, that doesn't always translate. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't always translate, but just being region specific. So even if you wanted to use that in your models, just pick a region. It'll probably help you out more than it'll hurt you. Now, I'm not saying go all in on that type of thought process, but it's not going to hurt you. I think it's going to help you. And I only use this because I have used it in the past and it's worked out. So I'm going to continue to do that. So that's what you get on the cheat sheet. You have Bermuda stats as well as POA. You can filter out by this stuff, and this also plays into the rankings that I have on the cheat sheet. So keep all that in mind. And then we have pretty large greens, 7,000 square feet on average. John Bredemus is your course architect, and Tom Doak renovated it before the PGA Tour jumped on it and used it as a facility, a golf course for this Houston Open. So you can use all of that for your research. You can see some of the notes that come in here. I'm not going to go over it. But yeah, this is available to you. Again, an easy way to do that is just go to SweetSpotDFS.com, scroll all the way down to the quick links. I have a little quick link down there called Tournament Fact Sheets that'll just bring you straight to the Tournament Fact Sheets. I make it easy for you. And you don't need an account. This whole page right here is free. You don't even need an account to go use that. So take advantage of it. Talking about the tournament, I do like to map out the golf course. So for Memorial Park Golf Course, I have a lot of different shot shapes that I find beneficial for this course. I think you can get away with bomb and gouge, and you really don't need to focus on any of these shot shapes. But in order to access some of the pins, a little easier to access some of these pins, I'd say fades are your primary shot shape. And if I were to go to the results, so yeah, we've been playing at the Memorial Park Golf Course since 2021, so 4 years. Jaeger hits a fade, Finau hits a fade, Finau hits a fade, Kokrak hits a draw, Carlos Ortiz at that time hit a draw, but you have Matsuyama who hits a fade, DJ who hit a fade, Scotty hits a fade. I'm not sure what Kevin Tway does. I'm not sure what any of these guys do. Alex Smalley was hitting draws at the Players Championship, but I don't know. But there's Alex Noren who's primarily hits a fade. It doesn't necessarily matter whether or not the golfer you like hits a fade or not, but if you have a tiebreaker between two golfers, I would suggest maybe picking the one who hits a fade. Especially the last 3 holes, the last closing holes. I think hitting a fade is primarily a good shot shape in order to access some of those pins that are tucked on the right side of the green. Now, you can be Scotty Scheffler and hit the middle of the green. It doesn't matter what shot shape you have. So you can completely ignore me on this if you want. It doesn't bother me. It's just I'm giving you kind of a little idea of what I find to be beneficial at some of these golf courses. So again, the cheat sheet does provide that information for some of the golfers, not all. This is one of those things I need to actually go in and update. So my apologies. I think I could probably just update some of these right now for you. This is the cheat sheet, so I am updating this. JJ Spawn hits a fade. Aaron Rai hits a fade. Minwoo hits a draw primarily, but I think he shapes it both directions. And the argument that a lot of people do is they'll say these golfers are good enough to hit whatever shot shape. Yeah, that is correct. But also, you have better results when you focus on one shot shape over another. So they do know how to shape shots, but when it comes down to when they're behind the gun, they have to perform. And sometimes it's a bit difficult to do when you're not comfortable hitting a specific shot shape. So let's put it differently. Yeah, golfers can hit all different types of shot shapes, but they can only hit really one primarily with control. The other one, they just know how to shape. They know how to curve it the opposite direction, but they don't have much control on it. So yeah, I don't have a lot that's in here, but if you want to take a look, the cheat sheet is free. You can see some of these golfers on there. But anyways, that would be kind of the mapping. Talking about the golf tournament, we have 156 golfers in the field this week. 156. I guess technically it's 155. And I don't know if they're going to fill in that last one. I imagine they're going to, but maybe not. I did see on X or some update site, I can't remember what it was, that said that the field is set at 155. So maybe that's the case. You have top 65 in ties. When we look at the strength of the field this week, it's 431. Let's compare it to other years. Last year was 291. In 2023, it was 237. In 2022, it was 324. So that's closer. And then I don't have your strength of field in 2021. So this is by far the strongest strength of field that we have seen at the Houston Open since 2021, where they moved to the Memorial Park golf course. So that kind of brings its own wrinkle into it. Unfortunately, I don't have filters right now on SweetSpotDFS.com that you can filter out by strength of field. But if you have a site that you use and you can, I would do that. See which golfers do well somewhere with the strength of field between 400 to 500. And this is using the old OWGR formula. I like it so much more than the new formula they have right now. I like to see 30 point, 60 point, 100 point differences versus like seeing 2-point differences when you go to OWGR.com and see some of those ratings. So it's easy. I can tell you, or I can be very transparent with you guys. If you want to know how the strength of field rating is formulated, again, it uses the old formula that they used to do for strength of field. And I don't intend on changing that ever. So I will always use it. And actually, you know what? I should probably put that on the website sometime. It's definitely something I need to figure, I should consider. So anyways, that's kind of the golf course and tournament information, just to give you some details, some information as to what to look out for, you know, give you my advice as to which types of golfers would do well. I guess to conclude, what has done well here is golfers who bomb it. I know the Pat Mayos of the world say Tony Finau doesn't know how to bomb it anymore. He's just laying back. Like there's nothing that he still has the power to bomb it. He just plays more controlled. He takes less club off of the tee. It hasn't really translated into better results, but Tony Finau is still a bomber. His club head speed is still one of the highest in the on tour. Of course, you can go to the PGAtour.com, take a look. I imagine his max club head speed is going to be up there with some of the other golfers, but his average club head speed is probably going to be lower because he's not swinging as hard as other golfers are. So anyways, yes, bomb and gouge, and then golfers who hit fades, I think, have the biggest advantage at this golf course. And then, of course, strength of field's 431. Use that in your models if you have access to them. So that covers the tournament and course information. I'm going to check up with chat just to see if I'm missing anything. AJ goes, I won 18 on my AM lineup on Thursday. Oh, Showdown? You were just talking about Showdown? John Bizzle, what's up? Nice to see you, and good luck to you as well. Getting closer and closer the past 3 weeks to the optimal. Hey, dude, that's awesome. That'd be super cool. Lineups have been good, says Josh Allen. All right. Let's move into the next section, Pass Optimal and GPP winning lamps, where we're going to use SweetSpotDFS.com to take a look. All right, let's start with the historic salary builds. This is a tool on SweetSpotDFS.com. If you check out fantasy tools, it will say past salary builds, but when you obviously drill down, it says historic. And basically what you can do here is just take a look to see what type of lineup shows up the most. Like what type of salary builds show up the most, either in the optimal lineup. You can see them right here at the top. You have 3 different lineups: GPP, optimal, and sweet spot. So if I drill down on the optimal lineup for the Houston Open, you're going to see it's been a mix. Now, of course, some of these lineups leave money on the table, and you can see that here in this table that's down here underneath the choose salaries for each golfer below section. You can see the salary used. In 2019, your GPP winning lineup used up $48,900. That's pretty insane. But then after that, each GPP winner, and this is either your $1 short game or your $5 drive the green. I don't have that marked here on any of those, but those are usually the 2 tournaments that I am recording this information from, have used either $49,900 of the salary or $50,000 of the salary. So keep all of that in mind. I'm a big advocate of not leaving a lot of money on the table. I really don't care how salary structures work out to an extent, I should say. I say use up as much of the salary as you possibly can. And I'm just giving you proof as to why you should. Now, if you're chasing the optimal lineup, leaving over $5,000 on the table is stupid. Let me repeat that, because I know there are people that, I mean, when I covered the optimal lineup way back in the day, I was a true optimal lineup seeker. What I have found out throughout the years is that leaving more money on the table makes it more difficult to hit the optimal lineup. Now, you might go, wait a minute. In 2019, you had to leave $5,000 on the table in order to hit the optimal lineup. So wouldn't I want to? Yes, of course. If you're trying to absolutely hit the optimal lineup, then go ahead and do it. But I want you to know you're opening yourself up to not only thousands of more different types of lineups you can build, but millions and even like hundreds of millions, if not a billion more lineup permutations that come with leaving that much money on the table versus just leaving $500 on the table. I kid you not. I could do the math for you guys at some point in time, and I do intend to create a video on something like that. But leaving that much money on the table is very difficult unless you just have some kind of, I don't know. Maybe you're a special individual that just knows which 6 golfers that are going to be 7K or lower will finish inside the top 10 and will end up being in the optimal lineup. You go ahead and you go do that. But I bet you if you're not a psychic or you can't see into the future, you're going to lose way more than if you were to leave no more than $500 on the table. You want to leave $500 and less on the table. That's where the true optimal, or the true sweet spot, I should say, when it comes to actually building good lineups, is within leaving $500 or less on the table. But you can see in 2024, so last year, your optimal actually used up all 50,000. That's when we had a $13,000 Scotty Scheffler, who finished second place, by the way. He was in the optimal lineup. Everything else, you're leaving quite a bit of money on the table, but I do not encourage you guys to leave a ton of money on the table. The sweet spot optimal that we have here, the most that the sweet spot optimals ever left is $300 on the table, and I build sweet spot optimals to be $49,600 or more of salary used. So not leaving $400 or more, or I should say leaving more than $400 on the table is just not a thing with the sweet spot optimal. So it's going to be either $49,700, $49,800, $49,900, or $50,000. Now, the beautiful thing about the sweet spot optimal is it beats the GPP winning lineup. I won't say all the time, but almost all the time. So if you go to the pass optimal and GPP winning page, here's the wonderful thing that I've created. There are now buttons that you can push instead of the 0s and 1s that I was showing before. So if you drill down into the sweet spot optimal and you drill down into a year, so we're looking at 2024, you can see the salary used, 49,900, and the DK points that was scored, 601. Well, let's take a look at the GPP winning lineup. Now you can toggle between them. That's 570. We go to, oh, I need to find out what happened to 2023. I wonder what was it named something else? What was it named in 2023? I know I have the stats, but I got to figure out what it was called. Let's see. Actually, I do have a page for this. Go to PGA Tour schedule. Drill down on that. Take a little time, I guess, to load. Either way, let me continue on with this. 2022 GPP winning lineup. Scored 525.5. Sweet spot optimal clipped it by 2 points. And it used 49.7. In 2021, it used up 50,000, scored 539.5. that almost, no, not 100 points, but by 70 points, it beat the GPP winning lineup. So again, you don't have to leave a lot of money on the table. And the big thing to talk about all of this, let me see. So if I go to 2023, take a look at what it was called. Oh, did they switch it? They might have changed it from 2022 to 2024. They changed it to the spring. They must have. It's kind of lame, honestly. It used to be in the fall, by the way. It used to, oh, here it is, Houston Open. So technically that was for the 2022 year. Okay, good to know. They switched up the years. And that's why I don't have 2023. It's 2022. Goes by year, not season. That makes sense. Okay. Either way, my whole purpose in all of that is just to say, you don't have to leave a lot of money on the table. Now, when it comes to actual salary structure or looking at the what salaries to use, the little boxes that you see right here, right up there to the left, will give you the frequency of, you know, what type of golfer, what salary finishes inside either of these lineups. For the Sweet Spot Optimal, 10K golfers showed up 85% of the time. The little 85% here. And if you just do the math, we have 3, 5, 7 events. And of those 7 events, 6 of them had a 10K golfer in it. At least one. That's what this means. At least one. So 6 of the 7 events had at least one 10K golfer for your Sweet Spot Optimal. For your GPP winning lineup, only 60% of the time. And I don't have GPPs as far back as I have Sweet Spot Optimals and Optimals, only because I was not recording information way back then. So anything before 2020, I just don't have. Eventually, I hope to get it, but I just don't have that information right now. 60%, you can see 3 years where a 10K golfer was in the GPP winning lineup. Now, here's a really interesting thing. You see a 10-10 start twice. 10-10, 10-10, 10-9. That's very, very interesting. In fact, this lineup that won in 2019 left $1,100 on the table. I'd probably just ignore that, if I'm being honest with you, and just select 2024, 2022, and 2021. And 2020. So what, 2019 is the one? Yeah, okay, so 2020. Because actually, maybe it's just 2021, 2022. Nah, 2020 would have been towards the 20. Okay, so I'm talking it out. I'm trying to remember what years that the Memorial Park golf course was used. And I think 2020 was actually the 2021 season. So we're going to keep it like this. And you're going to see 75% of those lineups had a 10K golfer in it. And again, like I said, it's very interesting because some of these start out 10-10, 50% of them. If I went back to the Sweet Spot Optimal, the same thing occurs there, 10-10. Now, if you wanted to go look at what these lineups are, again, there's another page called the Pass Optimal and GPP Winners. You take a look. So in 2022, where we had 2 10K golfers, it was Scotty Scheffler at 11,500. Now, some people say if you're going to be over a salary threshold, whether it's like $11,000, something really expensive, you must win the golf tournament in order to be in a winning lineup. That isn't true. Obviously, I'm showing you the proof. In 2022, $11,500, Scotty Scheffler finished 9th. And he was in the Sweet Spot Optimal. Again, the Sweet Spot Optimal beats the GPP winning lineup. And you can see what that looks like down here. Sweet Spot Optimal scored 2 more points than the GPP winning lineup. Now, the GPP winning lineup kind of used a little bit more of a traditional salary build, 10-9-8, 7-7-7, whereas the Sweet Spot Optimal went, 10-10, 7-7-7-6. So that's, again, I think that's very interesting. 2021, your Sweet Spot Optimal was 10-8-8 or 10-8-8-8-7-6, with $6,100 being the last guy in. Your GPP winning lineup went 10-10, 8776. And I won't lie, this week we have Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet just to show you this. Our two golfers are $12,700 Scotty Scheffler and $11,700 Rory McIlroy. And then it kind of just drops into, I won't lie, I'm going to call these undesirables. I'm not that interested in playing any of these golfers. Actually, that's a lie. I'm very interested in playing Tony Finau this week. And I will give you here, I'll tell you why. So during the Wiley and Keith Stewart podcast, they were looking for this week's Steven Yeager. So Steven Yeager won the tournament last year. What I like to look at are 4 stat categories. I like to look at course history. I like to look at what they did the year before. So Steven Yeager was heading into the 2024 event with a 9th place finish from the year before. I like to look at recent form. Like, how well has he been playing over the last 7 weeks? And then what did he do the week before? Well, if we go to 2025, I'm going to just highlight Tony Finau. He had a top 10 finish here last year. His course history is 37.13. That's very similar to Steven Yeager's 43. It's not exactly the same, very similar. Steven Yeager was coming in with this 54.25 recent form average. That's just over the last 7 weeks what he was doing. Well, Tony Finau is coming in with a 42-point average over his last couple weeks. And one other thing they have in common, they both missed the cut at the Players' Championship, and they both had a top 10 or a top 20 somewhere in the last 7 weeks heading into that event. What did Steven Yeager have? He had a missed cut at the Players' Championship, and he had a top 5 heading into the, within the last 7 weeks. So if you want your quote-unquote Steven Yeager from last year, no, by the way, $8,900 Steven Yeager is very similar to $9,200 Tony Finau. This is how my brain works. I understand that's not exactly how fantasy golf always works, but that's why the bucket system exists, is it's to go over this type of information and show you not just what happened last year, but what has happened over the last 13 years, last 10 years. Because I keep track of that information. Maybe not salaries, because DraftKings didn't have salaries for the Houston Open before 2019. Maybe 2018, but not 2017 and back. So yeah, I keep track of that stuff. So I will cover that during the bucket system portion of this video. But if you wanted, that's my first look. There are other golfers that are somewhat similar to Tony Finau. Maybe I still have nope, I don't have the filter still on it. We can dive into that either tomorrow night during the members only live video, or we can do that later on tonight. We'll see. But anyways, that's kind of my feeling when it comes to who's this year's Steven Yeager. And the reason I bring it up is because we need to figure out, are we playing two 12K golf or two 11 plus K golfers? And by the way, just to avoid confusion, any golfer that's over $10,000 is considered a 10K golfer in my stats. So this right here, 10K lineups. So again, it's how many lineups had a 10K golfer in it. That includes, and you can see the max salary here, 11.5, 13, 10.6, 10.9. It's anything north of $10,000. Maybe I'll put 10K plus moving forward, but you're only going to have a limited amount of golfers that are 10K and above, which every single week is somewhere usually between 4 to 5. But this week we have 2. And that is kind of the decision. Do we put both of them together? I don't think we can. I kind of like the 10. I might just go back to the traditional 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, because I do have a good feeling about Tony Finau this week. And I don't mind going back to some of these other AK golfers that are in here. I know Max Grazerman's getting a lot of steam. I don't mind that. I don't mind playing Grazerman. Kind of like McNeely this week also. I like Dietrich. This seems like a pretty good fit for Dietrich. There are a lot of other good choices. Or if you wanted to do a 10, like go Scott. If you're going to do a Scotty lineup, I think the best way to do this, if we take a look, here's another beautiful thing about SweetSpotDFS.com. If you go into the historic salary builds and you click under more filters, I do have 3 filters currently. If you just put max salary of like the minimum portion of this to 12,000, and then let's move this down to 13. Let's go 13.5. I just want to exclude, I don't know why that didn't save. 13.5. There we go. Click less filters. Actually, this one was a 10.98.776. Let's clear out the Houston Open, or let's just go ahead and select everything. Let's clear out the Houston Open. When you're, okay, so any of the lineups that I've recorded, either GPP winning, or this one's for the SweetSpot Optimal, my apologies. SweetSpot Optimal is 10.98.766 is the most common build. So if you're thinking about Scotty Scheffler at 12.7, going 10.98.77, or I'm sorry, 10.98.766 is a good option. Going 10.8, 3 7s and a 6 is another good option. 10 with 2 8s, a 7, and 2 6 is a good option. A 10.9, 7 7 6 6, and then a 10.9, 7 7 7 6. So almost, I'm going to say almost, but a majority of those start with a 10K golfer and a 9K golfer. And all of them had no more than 2 6Ks in their lineup. Some had just one. So actually all of them had at least one. You're going Scotty, you got to drop down in the 6K range. And again, you could also put a filter on this to match up what Rory McIlroy is at. So let's go like 11,000 to say 12,000. And hit less filters. And then you can kind of see what that would look like. And hey, by the way, 10.98.776 is your most common build with a golfer like Rory. And that's in your SweetSpot Optimal. If you want to take a look at your GPP winner, or I guess you can combine both of them. It's either 10.98.776 or it's 10.88.776 or it's 10.98.766. I mean, all three of them have 20 plus records. With a total of 160, looking at 169 different lineup creations. And then another one would be a 10-9, 3 7s, and a 6. That makes up, let's see, that's 30, 40, let's call it 50% of your lineups have a 10, 7, and a 6. A 10K golfer, a 7K golfer, and a 6K golfer. And then it's just, what do you want to put in between? You want to add a second 6K golfer and then go 9-8. One thing to note, there's no 10-9-9 in any of these top ones. I guess in 10 of them, in 5 or 6% of your lineups, you have a 10-9-9-7-6-6. So either way, those are some options for you. I'll clear the filters. Again, I love SweetSpotDFS.com. I love the tools that I've built. You can use the more filters, clear the filters. Everything is very simple, very easy. Go check it out. But actually, that was a pretty good deep dive when it comes to past optimal and GPP winning lineups. I'm going to check the chat, and then we can get into the next segment. All right. So Tim Tulos, what's going on, man? Nice to see you. Houston Astros funding that year in 2021, the one that they skipped. They went from fall to spring. AJ goes, no, my lineup wasn't for Showdown. It was all weekend. It just failed on Friday with Mitchell and Schmid and Straka sucking. Okay. Well, $18 is still pretty good. Ryan Henson says, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Let's find the optimal lineup. I agree. I think a lot of people will start with Rye. Okay. Are we going to go over 5K again? No, we don't have to go over 5K. There's no 5K this week. There was no 5K last week. Everything is good. We're all good. And even when the Masters comes around, the 5K golfers, we don't really have to worry about. You're going to have the old timers there, and then you're going to have the Peter Malnati's of the world that are going to be in the 5K range. We're not playing the 5K then that week anyways. Great. All 6 of my dummy lineups have no 6K golfers. You're trying to play it safe this week, huh? You don't like this week? You don't want to be a little risky? All right. Let's go into a review of the Valspar Championship. I'm going to bring up the bucket system. I'm going to show you the summary of this. Let's just go through this quick. All 36 buckets were successful. This column right here, all of them have Ys. So despite the weather wave conversation that was happening last week, it didn't really matter. It did not affect the buckets whatsoever. In order for this bucket to be successful, to see a Y, well, we look at the projection. So for last, let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit more. Okay. So for the last year one bucket, I always use this bucket as my example. It's the top one, so why not? The projection said we want to find at least 1.43 to 2.39. This is something to remember when we get into the bucket system. We always round down with the minimum, so 1.43, and we always round up with the maximum. So 2.39 goes up to 3. This minimum goes down to 1. We want to find somewhere between 1 to 3 golfers to either 1 to 3 golfers to finish inside the top 10 or in the optimal lineup. So then my little checks and balances over here, we see 2 golfers finish inside the top 10 and 1 golfer was in the optimal lineup. So therefore that bucket was successful. Now looking at the bucket underneath it, this is another thing to remember. 0.25 to 0.42. For what I just said for the last year one bucket, I said always round down with the minimum, always round up with the maximum. So really that turns into 0 to 1. But one other piece or one other rule to remember, we always want a 2-point buffer, between the minimum and maximum at all times. And we always want to go down before we go up, before we round up. So since we can't go lower than 0, that means the maximum has to go up to 2. So no matter what, the lowest projection will always be 0 to 2. It will never be 0 to 1 unless there's only 1 golfer in the bucket. Then that obviously makes sense, right? 0 to 1. So what you can see with this bucket, 0 to 2 is the projection. We had 2 inside the top 10 and we had 1 in the optimal lineup. So again, that bucket was successful, and therefore there's a Y. And you can see, I mean, pause the screen if you want to look at all of the finishes, whether they were inside the top 10 or they were in the optimal lineup versus the projection. There are formulas in here that just show whether it's a Y, whether it was successful or not. It's not me blowing smoke. It's not me lying to you guys. It's just all driven by formulas. So the buckets were 100% successful. The other thing to talk about is the Marquee Tee Times. So when we look at the Marquee Tee Times, all that these are the top 9 groups in the field. So I will highlight those every 3 because they were paired up in threesomes last week, as they typically are every single week on the PGA Tour. And we always look at the top 9 groups in the Marquee Tee. The top 9 groups are the Marquee Tee Times. And if you have a trained eye, you've been here before, you can see that the little black tick marks that are here by these players indicate they're an optimal lineup golfer. So Billy Horschel was one. Victor Hovland obviously won the tournament. He was another. And Justin Thomas was another optimal lineup golfer. The golfers that are highlighted in blue right here, those are your GPP winners. So there were 2 golfers from the Marquee Tee Times in the GPP winning lineup. There were 3 golfers in the optimal lineup. And then these little green salaries indicate the SweetSpot optimal. So this is following all of the SweetSpot rules. That's what the SweetSpot optimal is. And there were 3 of those golfers. So the rule is every single week, you can go back to any of my strategy videos. I shouldn't say any. All of my strategy videos. Everybody here in the chat understands this. You want 2 to 4 golfers, 2 to 4, to build your lineups around from the Marquee Tee Times, and you don't want them playing together. So not only do you want 2 to 4, but we don't want them playing together, period. Now, you could be like, well, look what Corey Connors and Shane Lowry did. Yeah, that's wonderful. Were they in the SweetSpot optimal? No. Were they in the optimal lineup? No. Were they in the GPP winning lineup? No, they weren't. You could have won money, yes, but you're not winning a GPP. That's what I'm talking about. They're not winning you a GPP. Now, I guess what we could go is look at Billy Horschel, Tommy Fleetwood, and Thomas Dietrich, because Fleetwood was in the GPP winning lineup. And so technically you could play those 2 golfers together, technically, and still win a decent amount of money, considering Horschel was in the optimal and Fleetwood was in the GPP winning lineup. Fact of the matter is, you're not getting to the optimal lineup that way. You're not getting to the SweetSpot optimal that way, which beats the GPP winning lineup. Actually, you don't know that yet, but we're gonna get there. So those are your top 9 groups. Those rules worked out perfectly. Victor Hovland was in a group with Jake Knapp and Cameron Young. Those other 2 golfers missed the cut. JT was in the lineup with Jordan and Carl Phillips. Jordan finished 28th, but JT was in all three of the lineups. The GPP winning. I'm just gonna pat myself on the back and just say I called that one right last week. Justin Thomas was the man. Everything I had said in the Valspar Championship strategy video came to fruition with Justin Thomas. And Logan in the chat, wheels up. I told you if there was a time to put that $5 that you won off of me from the Scotty bet the week before, put it on JT to win the tournament at 20 to 1. He came up flat. Don't get me wrong. I still lost, but I think I was closer than most people. Like I don't know who was touting Victor Hovland. I didn't hear anything. I'm not saying nobody did, but I don't watch everything. Who knew Victor Hovland was going to do well? And I'm not a betting guy. I just do DFS. I do fantasy lineups, primarily DraftKings. Justin Thomas was the man. He was the man. Writing for me was on the wall. It was easy. Super easy. Anyways, Marquee Tee Times were correct. The buckets were correct. Did the SweetSpot Optimal beat the GPP winning lineup? It scored 556.5 points. It used up $49,600 of the salary. Your GPP winning lineup scored 531. 531 is less than 556. So the SweetSpot Optimal took down the GPP winning lineup. If you followed the process, you could have gone on to Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, Lucas Glover, Jacob Bridgman, Bud Colley, and Jeremy Paul. Now, maybe it's not Jeremy Paul. I mean, he scored 75 points. You get to replace the 75 points and go with Ricky Castillo. That was, 6 points. Sorry. You drop 6 points. Guess what? You still take down the GPP winning lineup. Oh, maybe it's Eric Cole. You could have went with Eric Cole. $200 more than Jeremy Paul. Well, we had money to spend because we left $400 on the table. You could have got there. Or you go with the assassin, Rio Hisatsune. Obviously, that's not a part of the SweetSpot process. Otherwise, he would have been selected. Yeah, I suppose you couldn't have gone there. Anyways, Jeremy Paul was the best option. And then from there, it was Eric Cole, then Ricky Castillo. You could have gotten there. Building a lineup with a 10K golfer with JT, 2 8K golfers in Hovland and Glover, 2 7K golfers in Bridgman and Colley. And then your choice of 6K golfer. It doesn't really matter. You had 20 points to play around with to beat the GPP winning lineup from Jeremy Paul's 75. So you could have found anyone that scored 55 points or higher, and you could have taken down the GPP winning lineup. So obviously, we're going to go through the SweetSpot process for this week's Texas Children's Houston Open. And actually, before I get on that, I'm done with the review of the Valspar, by the way. So anybody new in the chat? Thomas just won the TGL. Is it a sign? Like I said, I mean, I don't know. When you stream, you don't really have much time to think. The thing that comes to mind is I am not like most DFS content creators. I'm a player. I golf, and I also have an analytical mind. Like I'm very competitive, and I'm very aware. Like I see everything. I can break down golf swings. I can pick up on attitudes. Justin Thomas, I kid you not, is heating up. I truly like him at the PGA Championship, but now I'm kind of starting to get a little, like, put it this way. If Scotty Scheffler is like 12-6 at the Masters and JT's $92 to $9,500, most of my lineups will be starting with Scotty and JT. I hope that's how the pricing goes. It wouldn't surprise me if JT finishes or ends up being in the 10K range. I'd hate it, but I could see it happening. It's just one of those things. As a competitive golfer, you can see it. You can see it in certain golfers. Now, you could also be like, well, if you can see it, why can't you see it with everybody? Scotty Scheffler's my dude. Scotty Scheffler is the best golfer in the world right now. He will always be the best golfer in the world for as long as he plays, because that's how good he is. He's just that talented. Despite the hot streaks that like Rory is on right now, once Scotty figures out the lefts, whatever is going on with his driver hitting the ball left, once he figures that out and gets back to just normal gameplay, he's going to get back to dominating tournaments. So anyways, my 2 cents. I agree with you. Thomas is starting to get hot on a hot streak. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Thomas now becomes one of the top 5 golfers in the world, like moving forward. Depends on what other stupid stuff goes on in his brain and whatever happens, whether he, you know, who knows? Like, golf is fickle. Golfers are fickle. Like, they're susceptible to the dumbest things. Like, obviously, Brando Shamplee was talking about Tiger on the Dan podcast, and talking about the dumbest thing he did was go to Hank-Haney, which is absolutely true. That is the dumbest thing that Tiger Woods ever did. And it ruined his golf swing. He was, you know, it stalled him for 2 years, not playing very good golf. So anyways, that's enough of that. Let's move on. I'm just a jokester, he says. Let's move on and cover the bucket system for the Houston Open. All right, we're going to start out the same place we did for the review, and it is going over the bucket system. Now, you can follow along with me on the cheat sheet. Again, the cheat sheet's available to you at SweetSpotDFS.com. It looks like this. So it's going to look exactly like what I have. So here's the, I'll bring this over here. Here's the cheat sheet. This is my sheet. You can follow along with me. They're the same numbers. I'll just put that up there. But I'll use my sheet for the time being. Now, in order to get to, actually, no. I like to look at the anchor buckets, and all that the anchor buckets mean is you want at least one golfer from the buckets that we're going to be talking about to put into your lineups. Now, you can do this, you can eyeball it, or you can use the optimizer, because all of these projections right here are right here in the optimizer. And the optimizer follows those bucket rules. Once you hit run optimizer, it goes through every single one of these sequences. It finds golfers that fit into each of these buckets, and it makes sure that if there's at least one, it selects at least one. And if there's a max of 3, it never goes over 3. That's what the optimizer does. That's why I use it, because eyeballing it can be very strenuous. It's very time consuming. I used to do that, and that's why I built the optimizer, so I didn't have to. But if you wanted to get to the anchor buckets, which means you want to play at least one golfer, you just go into this minimum projection filter, go to filter by condition, and go greater than or equal to 1. And this will actually, I actually want to zoom in a little bit. This will let you know how many buckets you want at least one golfer from. Now, I look at some of these projections that are kind of low for the max, and I kind of look at my max projection over here on the right side. That's just right off to the screen, pretty much. So like 2.25 and less, I kind of just ignore. So 2.19 for last year 1. Actually, in the optimizer, I made that a 1 to 3, but that's very borderline being 0 to 3. And that's just based off of my my knowledge of doing this for so long. I know it's very close to being 0 to 3. This one here, 1.13 to 1.88. Remember, we want a 2-point buffer, and we always want to round down whenever we can. So despite this being a 1 to 2 projection bucket, I actually mark this as a 0 to 2. It's just not high enough. I don't want to do 1 to 2. That's very narrow. I want a 2-point buffer, so it becomes a 0 to 2 bucket. So in order to weed out these types of buckets, we got to put another filter condition on here that's greater than or equal to 2 under the max projections. So technically, these are your anchor buckets. All of these have at least a max projection over 2, but I can tell you right now, I really don't look at the salary buckets. I don't care. I mean, salary is something that does matter, and it's something you have to consider. But the fact of the matter is, if you are building lineups that use $49,600 and above, you're just naturally going to get to some of these. And I'm not like this 1.22 to 2.03 projection for the AK bucket. For me, that's a 0 to 3 projection. And when I show you that on the optimizer, we go to the 8K range right here. Projections 0 to 3. 0 to 3. And that's how I'm going to have it. I do not want to put a 1 there. Just not, it's not high enough. The max projection for me is just not high enough. Same thing applies for last week 5s, golfers who missed the cut at the Valspar Championship. This will be a 0 to 3 bucket as well. I believe the recent form 2s will be a 0 to 3 bucket. The course history 3s will be a 0 to 3 bucket because they're so close to being less than 2. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump this up to 2.25. And that will get rid of a lot of these. Yeah, gets rid of the ones that I don't really, that I kind of already crossed off. And the only other thing that I'm going to do for this video to make it shorter is I don't want to talk about golfers, or I don't want to talk about buckets that have 30 plus golfers in it. So here I'm just going to clear everything and select everything that's under 30. So basically I have one that says 10, 15, 24, and 28. And it leaves us with 4 buckets to talk about. Last year 1s, course history 2s, strokes gained 1, and strokes gained 2. Frankly, the strokes gained 1 and 2, those are just your best golfers in the field. We can talk about it, but let's go to last year 1s. And that's a projection of 1 to 3. So I'm going to sort this by salary, top to bottom, and then I'm going to filter out just the golfers that are under the last year 1 bucket. And I'm going to zoom in because I know it's pretty small. So the golfers we have 15 total golfers. Scotty Scheffler, Aaron Rai, Finau, Siwoo Kim, Steven Yeager, Dietrich, Max Grazerman, Taylor Moore, Davis Riley, Mac Hughes, Nick Dunlap, Victor Perez, Alejandro Tosti, Chad Ramey, and David Skins. These 2 golfers I would just ignore. I didn't mean to delete it, but just ignore these 2 golfers down here. I don't think it's even worth a consideration to play either of them. So really, I'm just looking at the top 13 golfers with salaries. And again, these are all golfers who top 20'd last year, have a top 20 finish from last year. For me, the obvious choice is Scotty Scheffler. I like Scotty Scheffler. Now, someone in the chat mentioned Aaron Rai. A lot of people are going to start lineups with Aaron Rai. I don't disagree. But I kind of, like I already mentioned earlier, I like Tony Finau this week. And I'm not going to be afraid to pair him up with Scotty Scheffler. I will have a good chunk of my lineups be Scotty Scheffler and Tony Finau, starting it out that way. And I also don't mind pairing him up with like a Dietrich or a Max Grazerman. I think starting a lineup with those 3 golfers is sexy as hell. Obviously, you know, on this channel, when we build lineups, I like to do sexy and play a little bit of a little jingle. Those 3 golfers are a mixture, either Dietrich or Grazerman. I don't care which one it is, one or the other, to go with Finau and Scheffler. Whew. Super sexy. Super sexy. I love thinking about building lineups with those golfers in it. But you could do any mixture of 1 to 3 of these guys, and I think it's going to be just fine. If you just want one golfer, go for it. And if there's, like I said, my convincing is to play Tony Finau this week. Scotty Scheffler, I mean, I'm going to do some Rory Finau lineups. I'll also do some Finau with other golfers, but I think Finau's my Justin Thomas from last week. Course history 2. And by the way, I'm not a huge Tony Finau truther. I actually don't. I wish that guy would swing larger than he does. I wish he would just crush it every single week instead of doing that stupid 3/4 swing. I personally do not like Tony Finau's golf swing, but just based off of the profiles, I will say this. I don't have as much confidence in Finau this week as I did with JT last week. It's just a feeling, not a really good feeling, or like I just know it's going to happen, but I'm willing to take the risk on Tony Finau this week. The next one to look at is course history 2s. These are golfers that have decent course history. Not the best, because the best would be course history 1s, but course history 2 is the next best. And we get Rory McIlroy in this bucket. We get Rory. By the way, we get Tony Finau. We get Yeager. Those are those 2 golfers we were just talking, or they were in the last bucket. So too was Davis Riley, Mackenzie Hughes, And that's it. Just those golfers are your last year ones from this bucket. But these are golfers with decent course history. So if this is a reason to play Rory McIlroy, there you go. It's perfect. But I already have Tony Finau here. Again, I'm really digging Tony Finau this week. And this bucket projection's 1 to 3. So I got, like I said, I have no issue starting my lineups with Scotty and Finau or Rory and Finau and going from there. And heck, I don't even mind going back to Steven Jaeger. He played really well, I think, at the Players Championship. Like, I got no issue going back to Jaeger. I like Mav McNeely from this group quite a bit. He is 10th in my model. Probably the best value in the... Yeah, he's the best value of these high-priced guys. Sahith, technically, is a better value. But I'm still... I don't know. This would be an okay track for Sahith Theegala, but he's kind of just struggling as of late. I don't know. I'm not going to make any convictions with Mav McNeely or Sahith Theegala. I'll make more of a conviction with Tony Finau and go from there. By the way, Sungjae is 4th in my model. I don't mind playing Sungjae this week either. But this bucket projection is 1 to 3, and we have 24 golfers in it. Some of these we can ignore, but I'm not going to be... even me liking Tony Finau, I'm not going to like make any locks from this bucket. I'm going to play a lot of these guys pretty evenly, but nothing's going to really be a lock. And then the only other buckets to talk about are the strokes gained 1 and strokes gained 2. What I would do here is just clear all filters and just sort strokes gained in ascending order, 1 to 2. So from group 1, you have Scotty, Rory, Aaron Rai, Steven Jaeger, Michael Kim, Mav McNeely, Sahith Theegala, Seamus Power, Andrew Novak, and Hayden Springer. It's a very short list, but the projection is still 1 to 3, and that's primarily because it's driven by Scotty and Rory. So if you wanted to start with Scotty or Rory, I think that's the way to do it. Again, this projection's 1 to 3. One thing to remember, both of these guys can finish inside the top 10, and they could be the only 2 golfers from this bucket to be in the top 10. And maybe neither of them are in the optimal lineup. But I imagine one of them will be. But it is possible they aren't, but they're still in the top 10, and that satisfies the projection for that bucket because there were 2 inside the top 10. You could have Scotty, Rory, and Aaron Rai, and you'd have to just figure out what combination of the two of these guys makes sense because all 3 of them aren't going to get it done for you. Most likely they won't, unless you have 3 low 6K golfers somehow make it inside the top 10 or even inside the top 20, which I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. So that's what you have for choices when it comes to strokes gained 1. Strokes gained 2 is a little bigger of a bucket. How many golfers are here? 28. So pretty darn close to that ceiling that I didn't want to go over with 30 golfers. And I really don't have a strong take here. I do have Max Grazerman, who I do like. I have Thomas Dietrich. I also like Thomas Dietrich this week. I have no issue going to Sung JM. I don't mind Minwoo, although he's never played here before. JJ Spawn tends to play well in Texas, but I really have no takes. I mean, a good price golfer is down here, Victor Perez, 27th in my model. And he's been playing pretty decently the last couple of weeks. I got no issue going to Victor Perez. So is there really anyone to talk about? I don't know. I'm not too concerned. I don't mind playing a lot of these dudes down here for low price guys. Remember, this projection's 1 to 3, so keep that in mind. And then that's it. That's it for your anchor buckets. That was pretty quick. I'm actually happy. I want this to be a little faster than slower. Jerry. Let's see here. Lombardi Lee says he had by the way, I'm done with this segment, so I'm gonna interact with the chat. I had Justin Thomas for top 10 last week. That's what Lombardi Lee said. There you go, man. It's a Harry Higgs week. No, it's not, AJ. No, it's not. Don't fall in love with Harry Higgs. I'm with you, says Wheels Up. Spelt I'm. But Sung Jae, my favorite active golfer. I really like Springer this week, says AJ. Jerry Springer. Yeah. I mean, like, so Hayden Springer is, you know, he bombs it. Don't get me wrong. He's a bomber. He's a big dude. Hits the ball pretty far. I'm not putting that much conviction in a 6K golfer. Remember, the slogan is never fall in love with a 6K golfer, but never disrespect one. So I'm going to not fall in love with Hayden Springer. I will play him, but I'm certainly not trying to play that much of him. He's going to be in maybe 3% of my lineups at most. At most. Now, for some of those that only build one lineup, that might be your one dude, your one 6K golfer, and you live and die with that. That's fine. Got no issues with that. But I'm probably just going to stay away. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Let's go to the Marquee Tee Times. If you are following along with me on the cheat sheet, all you need to do is go to the group rank. I think it's column O for you guys. Make sure there's a filter on here and sort A to Z. Now, I just reviewed the Valspar Championship where I showed you 3 golfers from the Marquee Tee Times were in the optimal lineup. Or, I'm sorry, was it 2 golfers? Let's double check. I have such a bad short-term memory. Yeah, 3 golfers in the optimal lineup from the Marquee Tee Times. There were also 3 golfers in the SweetSpot Optimal, and there were 2 golfers in the GPP winning lineup. So the rules with the Marquee Tee Times, you want to select 2 to 4 golfers from the Marquee Tee Times, and you don't want to pair them up together. So what I mean by that is this first group of Rory, Wyndham, and Mav McNeely, you pick one of them and that's it. You don't pick a second one. You just pick one of them. One golfer, doesn't matter who it is, you pick your favorite. So Wheels Up in the chat, you said you like Sung J M. Well, I imagine you're not playing Scotty Scheffler this week, which is probably just a blessing. Maybe this is a good reason. Maybe your inclination of Sung J M. This just gives you further reason to play Sung J, because I bet you're not playing Scotty based off of our conversations in the past. If you think he's too expensive and you think he's going to be too owned, there you go. That's your pivot. That's your natural pivot in the sweet spot world, is going from one golfer in a Marquee Tee Time to another golfer. And we go from 12-7 to 9-3. Well, maybe you pair him up with Rory. That's not terrible. Remember, I said 2 to 4 golfers. Maybe these are your 2 golfers, Rory and Sung Jae. Or maybe you don't want to spend up. Maybe you want to be more conservative and go with Mav McNeely. Hey, my boy Tony Finau is down here. There's 3 golfers. What's kind of sucks here. Okay, hold on. Last week, the Valspar Championship. You remember talking about this group right here? Not that group. This group. This group right here. 3 AK golfers. I gave a reason why not to play more than one of them, but it was likely a golfer from here was going to be in the optimal lineup. Or not so much in the optimal, just like in the sweet spot or the GPP winning lineup. Well, it wasn't in the GPP, but Hovland did win. That's nuts. I think I liked, this is sad, but I think I liked Cameron Young out of this group. I think if I went back and watched the video, I probably said I like Cam Young, or maybe it's a good reason to play Victor Hovland. One of the two. I know some of you guys were on Jake Knapp. I was not. I didn't mind, except for, no, we did a deep dive on Jake Knapp, and you guys convinced me that he had a good stat profile. But that's kind of what we have this week. You have 3 8K golfers, pretty much the same price, paired up together. And what do we have at the Texas Children's Houston Open? We have Finau, that's 9,200, Jaeger 8,800, and Dietrich 8,600. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those dudes is in the optimal lineup. And you already know my take on Tony Finau. Now, before I even mentioned Tony Finau, I did not do this type of research. This is all just coming to me right now. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit. Can I zoom in one more before cutting everyone off? Nah, we cut everyone off at 170, so 165. There we go. 165 is the magic number. These are all 9 groups. Group 1 is McIlroy, Clark, and McNeely. Group 2 is Scheffler, Im, and Fowler. We're just going to stay away from Fowler. Don't care. Group 3 is Finau, Jaeger, and Dietrich. Group 4 is Aaron Rai, Seamus Power, Adam Svensson. Group 5 is Taylor Moore, Kurt Kitayama, Nick Dunlap. Group 6 is Sahith, Jake Knapp, and Nico Echeverria. By the way, I really like Echeverria this week. The guy is just nuclear, and there's not much water for him to get into trouble here. Group 7 is Pendrith, Highsmith, and Schenk. Group 8 is Jason Day, Nick Taylor, Patton Kazire. I'm probably going to stay away from that group completely. I'll play some Jason Day, but I'm not a huge fan at all. And then your last marquee tee time is Minwoo Lee, Harris English, and Carl Phillips. I like that group minus Carl Phillips. Carl Phillips, I mean, if you can be super erratic off the tee, I think that's fine. He can smash the ball. But I'm probably going to stay away from that. So I'm a little behind in the schedule. I normally at the 1 hour mark want to do a, what do we call it? A roll call. Here's your roll call right now. Select 2 to 4 golfers from the marquee tee times you see on the screen, and they cannot pair up together. If you pair up a golfer in the same group, what I'm going to do is take away your entry from the giveaway. If you want me to build lineups, though, with golfers that are paired up, I will do that. I got no issue. But for the purpose of this segment, find 2 to 4 golfers that you see on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and get this giveaway updated. And oh, by the way, I just want to throw this back here. Hold on. Just wait. Give me a second. We go like this. We copy everything over to the monthly giveaway, which we will be running next week, by the way. Yep, next week will be April 1st. It'll be April Fools. So if you want access, or if you want to get into the monthly subscriber giveaway, it doesn't look like we're actually going to hit the goal of 850 subscribers. You're going to get a week's membership at SweetSpotDFS.com for free. And that might entice you because the following week is the Masters. So you can have the membership for the Masters. So participate right here during the roll call, or leave a YouTube comment. That's all you got to do. Just leave a YouTube comment. But you also have to be subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you get no entries. But I'll have this over to the side so you guys can see the golfers. Find me 2 to 4 golfers. AJ's first. He wants Rye, Dietrich, and Highsmith. And I'm going to put some music on. We're going to start building lineups right after this, by the way. I'm sure most of you guys already knew that, but we will be building lineups. Tim wants Scheffler, McNeely, and Echeverria. I like that one, Tim. Tim, that's music to my ears. All right, I got 2 entries. Scotty and, oh my gosh, Wheels Up. Talk about a eclectic group of, or what is that again? Kaido Onishi. You're going back to Suber, huh? The rated R Superstar. Oh, Dave. I didn't even see. Dave wants Rory and Pendrith. Dave Dean. Also, before I start building lineups, make sure you are currently live with me. You don't know what that means? Go check out the little live button that you see down there to the left. Click on the live button and that'll catch you up. Because when I start building lineups for you guys and you're not around, and I'm like, hey, this golfer keeps showing up. Do you want me to continue playing them? And I don't get a response from you. It just takes away from lineups that can be built for you guys. Bill Paul, what's up, man? I didn't see you the last couple weeks. More English in Harvard? Jaeger, not Harvard. I was gonna say, there's a dude in the... Is that a nickname? Is that an actual last name? Will you write that out? Just write, can you update that so then I can pin it whenever I start building lineups for you? Just go more English and Jaeger, not Harvard. Don't know how that autocorrect works. Nobody does, man. Everybody gets it screwed up some way. Suber, one more week, Wheels Up says. You've been selling them pretty hard. Good thing I'm very reluctant when it comes to going with a gut play. Are you going to the draft? More English and Jaeger. I see some optimizer requests. Let me send them out to you guys. I'll give you some more time. For anyone else that's in the chat that wants lineups built, just give me 2 to 4 golfers that you see on the screen right now, and I will build lineups for you. All right, Mr. Henson, sending you an optimizer. And Edward, I will send you one as well. Edward, if you're listening to the message or the video, I'm just gonna send you the generic message that I send people. I know you didn't request it through the website, but there you go. All right, let's see. What did I miss? Anybody? We have new people coaching my daughter's softball team, and we have games on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Oh, no problem, dude. Family is far more important. All right. So here are the people. See if I missed anybody, let me know. I don't think I did. Roll call number 1. All right, we're done. Let's build some lineups. So you will either get, you're going to get 10 lineups from me or 3 minutes. Now, most people get the 10 lineups. The way you won't get 10 lineups is if there's very specific rules that are involved, which is fine. If you want it to be very specific, we can make it very specific. No issues with that whatsoever. I'd rather build you the lineups you want versus the lineups you don't want. So, AJ, you're up to bat. Are you ready? Are you ready to build some lineups? We get Ryan in the chat. Uh-oh. AJ's ready. Here we go. Timer is on. Nope, it's not. We gotta switch our scene. Okay. I have to lock them in first, right? Rye, Dietrich, and Highsmith. So Aaron Rye. Gonna eat all the chalk with everybody else. Dietrich and Highsmith. All right. 3 minutes are on the clock. Here we go. 50K. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? All right. Your first lineup is very balanced. We got Rye, Dietrich, McNeely, Ben Griffin, Joe Highsmith, and Patrick Rogers. Not terrible. You know what? I'm going to keep the exposures up. We're going to build some different lineups tonight. Next one, Aaron Rye, Sung JM, Dietrich, Highsmith, Stevens, and Johnny Vegas. By the way, exposures, if you didn't know, these are my exposures for when I build lineups. We're just gonna keep that tonight because that'll help us change it up. I think this is a week where we don't need to get super specific. If you wanted to, we can, but I don't think we have to. Lineup 3 is Aaron Rye, Dietrich, Bridgman, Mitchell, Highsmith, and Ricky Fowler. It's not terrible. Next one is J-Day, Dietrich, Highsmith, Hall, and Ryo Hisatsune. I gotta get to the sound effect. The assassin. That drinking water between every shot's so stupid. That's just dumb. Aaron Rye, Minwoo Lee, Dietrich, Highsmith, Novak, and Justin Lauer. There you go. We get a little 6K action. Aaron Rye, Minwoo Lee, Dietrich, Highsmith, Ryan Gerard, and Isaiah Salinda. I really like that lineup, dude. That's a really good lineup. Next one up is Rye, M, Dietrich, Highsmith, Lee Hodges, and Dumpy Bo Hosler. It's a pretty good lineup, too. Next one up is Aaron Rye, Dietrich, Bridgman, McNeely, Highsmith, and Vince Whaley. I don't mind Vince Whaley this week. Throwing that out there. Next lineup is Aaron Rye, J-Day, Dietrich, Ben Griffin, Joe Highsmith, and Adam Hadwin. I was trying to think of a nickname. He busted a sprinkler head last week, being very mad, being dumb, and it was funny. And then we get back to Patrick Rogers. And this is a good lineup. I really like this one too. Aaron Rye, Wyndham Clark, Dietrich, Highsmith, Patrick Rogers, and Eric Cole. Hey, that was pretty slick. 10 lineups before the 3-minute mark. Those are pretty good. We'll zoom in a little bit, and there are the 10 lineups. You wanted Bridgman, so you love this? There we go. Which lineup had Bridgman in it again? Right here? You love this one right here? The one that left $400 on the table? Yeah, that's pretty solid. Not a bad. Okay. Moving on to the next request. We have Tom Tulos. He wants Scheffler, McNeely, and Echeverria. Scheffler, McNeely, and Echeverria. Nico Echeverria, or Echevarria as other people like to call him. All right, so Tim, let me know when you're ready. Also, do you want access to Aaron Rye? Because I'll have to change the exposures that for Aaron Rye to show up. Same applies for Dietrich and same applies for Highsmith. Do you want exposure to those golfers? If so, just tell me the golfers you want exposure to. So, for instance, just go, if you want access to Aaron Rye, just say Rye, and if you also want Dietrich, go Rye and Dietrich. Otherwise, if you want, if you're cool with locking them out, just say lock them out, because they're going to be at 100%. I just need to change the exposures if you do want access to them. You don't want access to them. Okay, cool. That makes life easy. So we have Scheffler, McNeely, and Echeverria. All right, Tim. I'm gonna put you on the clock. Let me know if there are certain golfers you don't like. You can tell me to kick them out or or update the previous one. Here we go. 3 minutes are on. First lineup. We get Scotty, McNeely, Max Grazerman, Echeverria, Isaiah Salinda, and Chandler the Mustache Man Phillips. That's a sexy lineup. Like I'm sorry, AJ. Like I'm gonna love most lineups that start with Scheffler or Rory McIlroy, and I do like that one quite a bit. I'm gonna give you the, well, we're past the music. I just hit run optimizer. Vegas in the punter putter, or the putter punter, Patton Kazire. Oh my God, Patton the putter punter. You know what? He does play well in Texas. I'm gonna give him a shot. That's fine. I think that's fine. Scotty, McNeely, Echeverria, Max McGreevy, Nick Dunlap, and Patrick Fishburne. Patrick Fishburne, by the way, was in a lineup of mine where I could have won a ton of money, and he had that hot Saturday. The guy's Taylor Montgomery. He has a better golf swing than Taylor Montgomery, but that's pretty much what his strengths are. Terrible iron player, terrible around the green player, just visually, but statistically. I'm not looking at any stats when I see that. Visually, because I was watching his group when he was playing with Spieth on Sunday, terrible. Just bombs it and then just makes every putt from everywhere. Next lineup is Scotty Scheffler, McNeely, Grazerman, Echeverria, Matty Schmidt, and Mark Hubbard. I like that lineup a lot. And it goes 10-8-8, 7-7-6. That's one of those common or one of those historic salary builds that we saw when we went over the past optimal and GPP wing lineups. Scheffler, McNeely, Hughes, Echeverria, Stevens, and Chan Kim. Sign me up. I'm cool with that lineup. Next one is Scotty, McNeely, Hughes, Echeverria, the Assassin, Rio Hisatsune, and Mac Meisner. Sign me up, dude. Mac Meisner is a good play this week. I like Mac Meisner. Ooh, I like this lineup a lot too, man. All right, you know what? These deserve some music. Next one is Scheffler, McNeely, Ben Griffin, who missed the cut last week and is on like event number 15 in a row. Echeverria, Victor Perez, and Adam Svensson. You could do worse. You could do worse. Next one is Scheffler, McNeely, Rogers, Echeverria, Dunlap, and Steven Fisk. Sure, why not? Don't disrespect a 6K golfer. In the last lineup, KH Lee. We are not at a TPC golf course. You could take a shot on KH Lee. You get a little Mav McNeely love in there with Grazerman, Echeverria. I like this lineup. I like this lineup. Okay. Those were your 10 lineups, Mr. Tim Toulos. We'll take some of these guys out. Okay. Wonder if you can make a viable lineup with Rory and Scotty start. We can try at the end of the video. We can see what that's like. All right, Tim, those are your lineups. We are on to Mr. Dave Dean, who wants Rory and Pendrith. Rory and Taylor Pendrith. All right, Dave, question for you. Same question that I asked Tim. Do you want access to Aaron Rai, Thomas Dietrich, Mav McNeely, Joe Highsmith? Probably not Scotty. We don't have to worry about Scotty. Nico Echeverria. I'll just have to change their exposures. If you want access to any of these guys, tell me the guys you want access to. Just write out the names you want access to. So again, this is for Dave. I know that's asking a bit much, but it's Aaron Rai, Dietrich, McNeely, Smith, or Highsmith, I should say, and Echeverria. You want access to any of those guys, just write their names in the chat and I will boost their exposure. Everyone. Okay. All right. We're going to boost these guys up to 100%. I do have their what am I trying to say? I have their exposures saved elsewhere, so I can just copy over them. All right, here we go. 3 minutes are on the board. 10 lineups or 3 minutes. We get Rory, Thomas Dietrich, Taylor Penrith, Vegas, Dunlap, and Isaiah Salinda. It's pretty good. 10, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7. Same thing here. McIlroy, Penrith, Thigala, McGreevy, Sam Stevens, and Victor Perez. I really, really, really like that lineup. That is a good lineup. I like Victor Perez this week, and Sam Stevens I think is a solid play this week. We get McIlroy, Penrith, Thigala, Mac Hughes, the assassin himself, and Joel Damon. Did we save this one? Nope, not yet. Next lineup is Rory, Penrith, Thigala, Rogers, Fowler, Alejandro Tosti. I really like that lineup. Minus Fowler, but Fowler is in that lineup, that Marquee Tee Time with somebody. Who was it? He's with Scotty Scheffler. Next lineup is McIlroy, Dietrich, Penrith, Fowler, Novak, and Lonto Griffin. Sign me up for Lonto Griffin, man. I do like Lonto Griffin this week. Ricky Fowler, though. I don't know, man. That's a lot of Ricky Fowler. Or not so much a lot. That's 2 in a row now. Next lineup is McIlroy, Penrith, Grazerman, Thigala. So 3 AK golfers, Eric Cole, and CT Pan. I have no issue with that lineup either. I'm not a huge fan of 3 AK golfers, but you could do worse. McIlroy, Dietrich, Pendrith, Gerard, Woodland, and Michael Thorbjornsen. I like that lineup too, man. That's pretty good. Next one after that is McIlroy, Dietrich, Pendrith, Victor Perez, Eric Cole, and Gary Woodland. Yeah, it's similar to one of the other lineups we just built. That's fine. This one is McIlroy, Dietrich, Pendrith, Novak, Matty Schmid, and Charlie Hoffman. Just to be transparent, I gave Charlie Hoffman a minus 100 to his total. Primarily because he was being selected in the optimizer a lot when I was building lineups, and I don't trust him. He withdrew last week because of a bad back. You want to know what Charlie Hoffman has? Like, he has a chronic bad back. So I don't see how anything changed from last week to this week other than getting a rest, which I don't think I want my golfers to really be doing. Like, it's not good to have days off for golf or at their level. McIlroy, Pendrith, Mitchell, Hughes, Novak, and Matty Schmidt. That's a really good lineup to end on. That's a really, really good lineup. We got it in time. Okay. Sorry, that might have been a bit obnoxious. I just wanted to hit the bell. Cool. That was a good lineup. That was a really good lineup. That last one. McIlroy, Pendrith, Mitchell, Hughes, Novak, and Matty Schmid. I like Lee Hodges this week. I also like Bridgman. Or you also think Bridgman wins? No. Come on, AJ. No, no, no. Bridgman might play well, but he's not going to win. Please. Scotty and is that Kaito Onishi? $6,000. Oh boy, we're going dumpster diving. Holy. Jesus. All right, are you ready? Wheels up. Can I change mine to Nick Taylor, Taylor Moore, and Michael Kim, and Aldrich Potkeeter? Sure. Well, sure. If Bridgman wins, you're not going to get a hoodie. I'll give you a different t-shirt. I've got other t-shirts that I can give out. Wheels Up is ready. All right. Do you want access to everybody? Because I'll keep everyone at 100%. That's already over the exposures I had them for. So that was Aaron. I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll let the optimizer do its thing. All right. Timer is on the screen. Here we go. First lineup. Ooh, Scott Scheffler. Oh, we locked in Scheffler. I'm so stupid. Scheffler, J-Day, Ben Griffin, Sam Stevens, Johnny Vegas, and Kaito Onishi. Remember, we're locked in with Scotty Scheffler and Kaito Onishi. Scheffler, Finau, Sahith, Dunlap, and Celinda. Sign me up. Where you be now? Tony Finau. Scheffler, Finau, Grazerman, Eric Cole, Matty Schmid. It's a pretty good lineup too, man. Yeah, I like that one. Oh, okay. So going like Scheffler, Finau, Grazerman would be difficult without a really, really low price guy. This one is Scheffler, McNeely, Thigala, Griffin, Damon, and Onishi. I actually really like that lineup. Minus Onishi, I really like that lineup, but it can only happen if we have a low price guy like Onishi. Is this the same one that we just had, just with one guy different? No. This one is Dietrich McNeely, McGreevy. McNeely into McGreevy. I don't mind it. And Grillo. Springer. All right. I don't remember who said it in the chat. They said they really like Hayden Springer this week. There you go. We got Scheffler, Dietrich, McNeely, McGreevy, Springer, and Onishi. That seems like a bar of some kind. Like a rapping bar. Or a rap bar. Not a rapping bar, a rap bar. Scheffler, McNeely, Keith Mitchell, Mr. Blow Up himself. Keith Mitchell. Griffin, Victor Perez, and Kaito Onishi. It's a lot of Ben Griffin so far. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Pretty good though. Scotty, Dietrich, McNeely, the assassin himself, Ryo Hisatsune, which again, stupid drinking water, but Gary Woodland and Kaito Onishi. That's fine. Scheffler, Grazerman, Thigala, Mitchell, 3 AK golfers, Dumpy Bo Hosler, and Kaito Onishi. I mean, it could. Actually, that one probably... That's going to be the one lineup that does well. I don't really care for it. Scheffler, Finau, Rogers, Novak, Dunlap, and Onishi. That's not terrible. Not terrible. Let's do one last one. I just want to see a kind of a bonus one here. Fishburne. Scheffler, Finau, Taylor Moore, Stevens, Fishburne, Onishi. All right, well, that one's fine. Not a huge fan of Fishburne, but it's all good. So going that route, if you were going to go Scheffler and Finau, man, you don't have a lot that you can do. All right. Wheels up. Those were your lineups. Just to take a look. What does a Finau Scheffler lineup look like? Just 10, 9, 3 7s and a 6. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really care for those golfers. I'd probably manipulate that somehow. What about McCarty? What, Matt McCarty versus I don't know. I don't know what that's in reference to. Okay. So that was Wheels Up. We are on to Bizzle, who changed his. I gotta find it. Nick Taylor and Taylor Moore. Michael Kim. So we want Taylor Moore. Where's Taylor Moore? Taylor Moore. Nick Taylor. Michael Kim. And good old Aldrich Potteether. Aldrich Potts. All right. All right, John, you ready? Seems like all M lineups this week. McGreedy, McCarty, McDonald's. Like he's going to McDonald's. You are welcome, Wheels Up. John. You got John here. There we go. He says he's ready. Well, that was a mistake. Usually where my timer button is, but I fat fingered it. Here we go. Timer's up. Aaron Rye, Tony Finau, Michael Kim, Taylor Moore, Nick Taylor, and Aldrich Potteether. Not terrible. Oh, it stayed on the same dudes because Aldrich is very low. All three of them are. I gotta bump them all up. We gotta bump them all up by about 100, just to not have to worry about and Aldrich, we will get up 200 points. All right, let's see what it looks like now. Same thing, but now it should change. We still have Aldrich as the... All right, well, I gotta change out Aaron Rye. Rory McIlroy, Michael Kim, Taylor Moore, Nick Taylor, Vegas, and Potteether. I'm gonna call him Potteether because I just don't want to do the Potteether every single time I say his name. McGreevy gets replaced in this one, but we still have Rory. I'm just gonna tell you the two golfers that change out. This one we got Celinda, but Rory's your main dude, looks like. Gary Woodland. What if I did this and kick out Finau? Maybe we'll get some Aaron Rye. Nope. Still going with Rory. What do we kick out Rory? No Rory. Thompson, Kim, M, Moore, Taylor, Potteether. That's the first Davis Thompson lineup, I'm pretty sure. Davis Thompson, by the way, holy crap, that price tag is high. Then it breaks. Okay. I think we need Rory or we need Aaron Rye. Ooh, Nicholas Norgard Moeller, sign me up. 10-8, 3 7s, and a 6. There you go. That is a great lineup. That's a really good lineup. That's a masher's delight. Bangers and mash, that one has. Austin Eckroat. I don't mind it. Last one, John. I don't mind going back to Rico. That one's fine. So Rory's the main dude for you, John, in those lineups. In fact, I don't know. Can I do a Scotty lineup? Let's see if we can do a Scotty lineup. You can, but you got to drop down into the 6,400 and below. Ugh. Oh, well, it breaks. So no, you can't. Does not like not having Scotty, or it does not like see. Let me see if I can do one different one. Nope, still breaks. So Scotty's a no-go in those lineups, unless you had Kyle Westmoreland. You're welcome, John. Okay. Moving on. Philip Hall, are you in the chat? Oh, I'm sorry. No. I spoke too soon. Lombardi Lee, are you in the chat? Lombardi Lee wants Aaron Rye, Sam Ryder, and McNeely. Let me know when you're ready. John says he's off Scotty. Okay, there we go. It was just natural. You picked golfers that did not go well with Scotty, and it just worked out perfectly. Lombardi Lee is here. All right, man. Putting your timer on the screen, and here we go. Aaron Rye, Sung J M, Mav McNeely, Grazerman, Sam Ryder, and Johnny Vegas. I do not hate that lineup at all. Oh, I gotta actually drop some guys. Rye, Finau, McNeely, Grazerman, Stevens, and Ryder. That's a really good lineup. Let me drop these guys really quick. And by drop, I mean lower their point totals because they're super high. Super high. I do like Aldrich this week. Aldrich Potgieter. Ooh, I like this lineup too. Rye, Finau, McNeely, Sahith, Sam Ryder, and Victor Perez. There we go. That's a good lineup there, Lombardi. It's stuck. So we need to kick someone out. Let's kick out Thigala, because he is by far, to me, the most volatile golfer, 8K and above right now. Maybe not right now, but in that lineup he was. Rye, Day, Dietrich, McNeely, Ryder, and Isaiah Salinda. Sign me up. That's a good lineup. Rye, Finau, McNeely, Griffin, Ryder, and Victor Perez. Did we just do that one? No, we did not. Okay. Rye, Finau, McNeely, Griffin, Stevens. That one we did. Pretty sure we did that one. All right, so I need to get Ryder. Now let's kick out Ben Griffin. Rye, Finau, Bridgman, McNeely, Sam Ryder, and Patrick Fishburne. That's not terrible. Rye, Finau, McNeely, Rogers, Mac Hughes, Sam Ryder. Sounds pretty good too. Those are good lineups. Rye, Finau, McNeely, Grazerman, Sam Stevens, Sam Ryder. That's a duplicate. We already did that one. Okay. Let's kick out. Let's kick out Finau. We've been doing a lot of Finau lineups. Maybe we can get a decent non-Finau lineup. Gabe, what's going on, man? Nice to see you checking in. Aaron Rye, Dietrich, Bridgman. So you can be on the Bridge Brigade. Matt McNeely, McGreevy, McNeely, McGreevy. Kind of like that. And Sam Ryder. Okay. We got two more. See, time's up, but I gotta get you two more. Rye, Dietrich, McNeely, Keith Mitchell, Highsmith, and Ryder. And last one. Rye, Jason Day, Dietrich, McNeely, Ryder, and Salinda. Oh, that was another. Ugh, that was another duplicate. There you go. Rye, Day, Bridgman, McNeely, Ryder, and Vegas. They're That was not a duplicate. All right. There we go. Those were Lombardi Lee's lineups. Let's find the next one. I think, who did I say? Philip Hall. I asked him to put a different one in, and it was this one. All right, so it's Philip, and then we're gonna have Ryan Henson. Those are the last two that I have on the list right now to do. Lombardi, you are welcome, sir. All right, Philip is here. It's Taylor Moore, Harris English, and Jaeger bombs. The hairy-ish. There you go. All right, let's go ahead and put the timer on the screen, and we're off. Sungjae, Jaeger, Grazerman, Mitchell, Moore, and English already off to a hot start. Different types of lineups, but probably gonna have to kick some people out. Nope. M, Jaeger, Bridgman, Taylor, Moore, English, McGreevy. It's pretty solid. Rye, Jaeger, Bridgman, Moore, English, Salinda. Isaiah Salinda getting his due. I like that though. I like Isaiah Salinda this week. Did we save that one already? I feel like we did. Yep. Okay. So let's kick out Mitchell. We got Rory, Jaeger, Moore, English, Perez, Mark Hubbard. I actually really like that lineup a lot. Move that to there. Figure this all out. Next lineup, we got Davis Thompson, Steven Jaeger, Grazerman, Thigala, Taylor Moore, Harris English. Okay, no duplicate there. That's what the question mark was for. McElroy, Jaeger, Taylor Moore, English, Lauer, and Mac Meisner. Sign me up. I like that. Davis Thompson, Steven Jaeger, Pendrith, Moore, English, and Mac Hughes. Is it set up where I can get Ryan Echeverria? Yes, it is. It is. M, Kim, Jaeger, Moore, Harris English, and the assassin, Rio Isatsune. Did I save it? I already forgot. Did not. Here, I'll lock in Aaron Rye and see what might happen. Might not be able to. Does build a lineup. We get Rye, Jaeger, Bridgman, Moore, English, and Woodland. I'll delete that and I'll find Echeverria and see what we can do with this one. And we get Davis Thompson, Jaeger, Kim, Michael Kim, that is, Taylor Moore, English, and Echeverria. That's pretty solid, dude. Oh, I shouldn't have saved that second one. I didn't have to. Oh, well. All right. Those are some solid lineups. There we go. All right, Ryan Henson. He wants Rye, English, and Mav McNeely. All right, there we go. Little high 9, mid 8, and high 7. Ryan, you here? Yo, yo, yo. All right, there we go. Just double checking to see if I missed anybody. Doesn't look like I did. If you're in chat and I did not get to your lineup, let me know. I'm pretty sure I caught up with everybody. Here we go, Ryan. First lineup is Rye, Pendrith, McNeely, Grazerman, English, and Johnny Vegas. I'm gonna kick out Johnny Vegas. I'll just kick out the low-priced guy each time. Next one is Rye, Dietrich, Bridgman, McNeely, English, and Celinda. Don't hate it. Rye, Finau, Bridgman, McNeely, English, and the mustache man Chandler Phillips. That's not terrible. Rye, Finau, McNeely, English, Hughes, and McGreevy. McNeely and McGreevy, they're just gonna get me, man. They gotta be some kind of brothers of some kind. The Mac brothers. Rye, Finau, McNeely, English, Hall, and Victor Perez. That's a really good lineup. First Harry Hall lineup I think I built tonight. Yeah, I think 2.7%. That looks like maybe a one-time deal. Rye, Sung JM, McNeely, Grazerman, English, and Norlander. Sign me up for that one. That's a really good lineup. Real good. Rye, Finau, McNeely, English, Harry Hall, Sam Stevens. Could do worse. I like that lineup as well. I think we already did that one. Pretty sure we did that one. Let's kick out Sam Stevens. Rye, Finau, McNeely, English, podcast, jeez, Patrick Rogers, and Andrew Novak. I imagine you think Patrick Rogers is a loser, but I actually do like Patrick Rogers this week. Rye, Pendrith, McNeely, Mitchell, English, and Mac Hughes. Not terrible. All right, last lineup for Mr. Ryan Henson. We get Aaron Rye, Dietrich, McNeely, Mitchell, Harris English, and Harry Hall. Solid. And one more just for good measure. We get Rye, Finau, McNeely, Ben Griffin, Harris English, Patrick Fishburne. Hey, those weren't bad lineups, guys. Not bad at all. We built 80 lineups on stream. I've got no other lineup requests, and that's fine. I mean, I wasn't intending on this video being that long. We're at the 2-hour mark, and I think maybe I have a couple things. Oh, first of all, let's see if we can do a Rory Scotty lineup, since that was asked in the chat. By the way, any other questions, let me know. Okay, well, looks like with the exposure levels I have, doesn't really work out with Scotty and Rory. Did you see my question? AJ said. seems like all M lineups this week. Oh, all M lineups this week. McReady, McCarty, McDonald's. What was your question? That was not a question. Did you send me an email? I don't have an email. What question did you have, dude? It broke for you too? Yeah, it looks like Rory and Scotty lineups are very difficult to do, if not impossible. I think they're just impossible. I have pretty conservative conditionals on here. I have no AM, no AM PM lineups. It's, yeah. Okay. Rory and Scotty's not a thing. Can't do it. Cannot do. And I have no idea why, and I guess I don't care. I don't think I was ever going to put those two golfers together at 12, 7, and 11, or 12, 7, 11, 7. We get 24,400 just for those two golfers. And so for the remaining 4, they'd all have to be, I know why. Ryan, the reason why is I don't have your the 6K golfers aren't set to more than, you need to have at least 3, probably 4 6K golfers. Oh, whoops. It's like, how did that work out? In the beginning, you said we needed 2 6K golfers with a 10K golfer, but I'm not saying, I didn't say we needed 2 6K golfers. I said that was part of the, I said for, what's the Houston Open? So like for the GPP winning lineup, a 10, 10, 7, 7, and 2 6s. Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you're going to go the 10, 10 route, that was one of them. And then for the Sweet Spot Optimal, 10, 8, 8, 8, 7, 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 10, 10, 7, 7, 7, 6. 2 6s. 2024 and 2018. 2024 and 2018. So 2024, Sweet Spot Optimal. Oh. What? I guess Tony Finau was a 10K golfer last year because we had the 5K range. Is that right? Is that why that's 10? No, that's 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. That was the 5K range. So your 2 6K golfers were in the 5K range. And then there's nothing else. But if we were to put those filters on, like I said before, max salary was what? Let's go 11.5 to just 1,300 flat. Take the Houston off, and then it's 10,98766. I imagine if you want, okay, so if we were to lock in, say, Scotty and Finau, we're gonna lock those guys in. I'm sure it's gonna be what, 10,987.6 at least, and then who knows what's in between. So 3 7s. If I kept hitting run optimizer, I bet you it's gonna, I mean, I'm not a big, okay, I don't want Johnny Vegas in my lineups. I'm definitely not gonna be anchoring my lineups around Johnny Vegas. There you go. There's your 2 6s. Shows up the third lineup after I kick out Vegas. Not that big on Dunlap or whoever that other guy was. Not Lauer. Ryo Hisatsune, I guess I will be playing some of him, but I'm not going to try to force him into a lineup. Scheffler, Finau, Stevens. Okay, there's there's another 10-9, 2 7s, and 2 6s. Could try to force the optimizer to give me an 8K golfer as well. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6,500 and 6,300. Jeez. Razorman though, that's not terrible. 6,200 with a 6,800 and a flat 7. So yeah, lineup construction would be a bit more difficult. Although this lineup I don't mind. I don't mind Adam Schenk this week. Patton Kazire is still shaky for me. I don't know. Yeah, you kind of got to get a little weird. If you're going to go like Scotty with a low 9, with a low 8, just doesn't really, I don't know. We got to do some more research before we get comfortable with these lineups. Scheffler, Finau, Grazerman, Schmid, Fishburne, Villegas. Yeah, Pierre Lonati, that ain't going to do it. I'm not doing Palmer. Yeah, it's man, Scotty lineups with Tony Finau. So a lineup like this actually, ZJ at this tournament is not a bad play. I mean, it's not a great play, but you could do worse. And I'm not trusting Fishburne whatsoever. Thanks. I just remember you saying something about 2 6Ks. Yeah, it was just salary construction. Like if we are thinking about playing Scotty, if you want to do Scotty with a 9K golfer, you almost automatically need 2 6K golfers. Just throwing that out there. It's either that or it's going to be 3 7Ks and a 6. So I think that if you go 10, 9, 8, 7, then it's going to have to be 2 6Ks with Scotty, or it's going to be 3 7Ks with 1 6K. There'll be a 10, 9, 3 7s and a 6, just like what you see on the screen, which is actually a pretty solid looking lineup. I could do that. So there you go. Actually, that was good to go over. Good to go over for me, good to go over for you guys, because I do like Finau this week, and I do want to pair him up with Scotty. I think this is two decent golfers to go with. I do like the 8K range though. So I'll probably do some Scotty with 2 8K golfers maybe. Actually, I think we can make that work out. I'll jam in 2 8K golfers, make the optimizer select 2. And I'll keep some of these locked out. I'll bring back Celinda. I like Celinda. Those guys can stay locked out. That's fine. Actually, I'll bring back Schenk. We'll bring back the Mustache Man, Hubbard. We'll bring it back Mateo. And then just let's see if I can get a couple good ones. In the midst of all my jokes. There you go, 2 AKs. We get Scheffler, Grazerman, Thigala, Hughes, Celinda, and Vince Whaley. I don't mind Vince Whaley this week. There you go. This is a lineup. This is a lineup that I like. Oh, I locked out Keith Mitchell instead of Sahith. I don't mind Mark Hubbard this week, or Ryan Gerard. Or a lineup like this. McNeely. Yeah, I like something like this. McNeely, Grazerman, Hughes. I don't... See, Hughes isn't terrible, but I am not running to the door to play Hughes. But Ben Silverman, that's fine. I'm going to build a couple more. There we go. We get 2 Maxes in this lineup, and none of them are named Max Homa, so that's great. Mustache Man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh, that was a McNeely McGreevy one. Actually, yeah, sign me up for McNeely McGreevy. Your lineups will be very McGreevy. There you go. There's my lineup. That's the lineup I'm just jamming in. I get Scheffler, McNeely, Max Grazerman with Max McGreevy, but I get McNeely McGreevy, 2 Maxes, a Celinda, and a Griffin. There. That's my solo lineup. Not playing anymore. I'm done. That's obviously not how I'm going to do it. I will be live tomorrow night, by the way. And we'll take a look at this lineup. I'm actually going to save all these over to the side. Create a fresh set of lineups for myself tomorrow. So we'll put all of those there. I'm going to highlight this one because I think I actually do like it. Everything else is going to get deleted. There we go. Actually, you know what? Let's go over... well, we locked in some golfers. The optimizer liked... I don't even know who it liked, because we locked in a ton of golfers. I really didn't lock in that much McNeely, but the optimizer liked McNeely. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's pretty spread out. Outside the golfers that we locked in, it's pretty spread out. All right, like I said, I'm gonna be live tomorrow night. We need to go golf, sir. I don't live anywhere near you unless you're talking about PGA 2K25, which I haven't touched in 3 weeks. I just don't have time. I have a job, I update the website, and I stream for you guys. I don't have time to golf. Until I actually get out to the golf course. Yeah, but at some point in time, I haven't logged in, so I still haven't seen your friend's friend request. We can work it more tomorrow. Can't wait. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take off. This is one of the shorter streams. That's fine. We're ramping up to the Masters. I will have more tools available to you throughout the week. By the way, there's a really good tool. You guys didn't see this. I've been working on this tool a lot because I don't know what I like the most. So this little dead space, little white space here is going to be filled with buttons for different report types that you can click on. This is wonderful down here. I got all this to work last night. If you wanted to see, so here's the thing I love about this tool. Type in a golfer's name. And let's say after round 2, or let's say after round 1, let's say he's in 78th place. And obviously you'd be able to tell if a golfer's in 78th place by looking at the PGA Tour leaderboard. So let's say after round 1, the position after round 1, let's just say it's between 70 to 80th place. What you're going to find out is you get a little summary here for round 2. His next average round is 70.87. He averages about 1 birdie, or no, I'm sorry, that's not 1 birdie, 0.1. But he has 4.09 birdies a round. And he shoots under 70 33% of the time. This is Justin Thomas we're looking at. And then down here, you can see how he places after he's finished in this 70 to 80th range. His top 5% from here is 6.67%. Top 10 is 13.33. Top 20 is 20%. So not great. 40% missed cut potential. But, you know, let's move all of this off of 1 to 500 and say he played better because Justin Thomas did. I mean, you know, he barely made the cut. So let's just say he was between... So he was even par. He was probably, what, 30th place or 40th place? So let's go like 35 to 50. So when you look at this, his top 10 rate was 12%. Like, he kicked ass, by the way, for the Valspar. Top 5 is 3.03%. So even after a round 2 finish, round 3 he comes out, he averages 4 birdies, shoots under 70 45% of the time. High birdie rate, low round. You can also click on this to see totals. It looks a little different, I understand. And you can just see the actual totals that he did. So if we went and looked at just 2024, you can sort it out by just 2024. You can see how many birdies he has in each round with all of this filtering that's on there. And then you just hit clear filters and it clears everything out. It's been fun building these tools. And this is one of my favorite tools right now because of how much data you're getting by how many filters you can put in here. You can select golfer, you can select tournament, you can select the years, you can select what position they were after round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, and there'll be more filters that I'll provide too. But the formulas that go into these numbers down here, that took quite a bit. But anyways, that's just me showcasing the last tool that I was working on. But it's time to take off. I will see you all tomorrow if you are a white tier member. If not, there's a little join button down here to the left. Go click the little join button. And I can see you tomorrow in the Wednesday members only YouTube video. That's all I have for tonight. So I'll see y'all later. Thank you for watching. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.